So yeah, hey everyone, it's Capture Gremlin. I am still here to figure out what to do because I don't want to stop the live stream entirely. But I have been having constant issues with my computer having problems um, due to internet problems, and just I think a lot of the problem is that um, I know I've been having some of the problems with the Twitch disconnecting because I've had like 3 times where I've looked and the Twitch is dropped, and it's just like, thanks Twitch, I appreciate that. But at this point in time, I know there's not much I can do about it except to just um, hope for the best and just keep going. So at this point in time, any online games are out of the question. I can't do them. So Phasmophobia is out. Can't do it. I could start an offline game of Minecraft and play completely offline, but at the same time, there is just as much of a chance of that having other problems due to problems as well. Hold on just a minute, because she is. There we go. Hello. Um, yeah, there's just as much of a chance of me having problems with that because that is having issues as well. So I figure since I'm here, maybe the one thing I should do is actually just goof off and do some of the stuff that I normally do when I'm just kind of playing around. This is supposed to be an AMA. This is supposed to be me um, kind of getting to tell people about me. I am sitting here motioning with my hands as if people can actually see them. No one can see them. No one can see what I'm doing with my hands. I should know this by now. But no, I just keep motioning with them as if I'm a genius. I'm an absolute genius. Well, anyways, I've decided pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to goof around. And a lot of what I do when I'm goofing around is writing. So I figured I'm probably going to go ahead and write for a bit and start up on a story that I started writing before, but I wrote myself into a corner on it and it kind of really sucked. But it's not that the story itself sucked, it's just that I got to the point where I wasn't entirely sure with where I was, where I wanted the story to go, because parts of the story did not match up with where I was going and stuff like that. So I think instead of to do is restart the story and change some parts of the storyline and then take it in an entirely different direction. Sometimes that's just the best thing to do. But I don't know if anyone's actually interested in watching writing, so instead of putting this up under, Phasmophobia, because I'm not going to be able to play Phasmophobia, what I'm going to do is just put it under just chatting and see if it actually goes anywhere. Okay. Well, I don't know how well this is going to take. Tried to do this. Let's see if I can actually even get this to work. Um, oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to have to close that. I'm going to have to close that. Um, I hold on. There's something else I was working on, so I'm trying to like save and put it away. Um, what on earth was I writing? Oh, okay. That. Yeah, writing is kind of a big hobby of mine. So let's go ahead and see if I can. That's not going to be a game capture though, is it? Let's go ahead and pull that straight out. This is just going to be, let's be display. Yeah, that's just going to be display capture at this point. Um, yeah, just, yeah, just, uh, did I do it wrong? I think I did it wrong. Okay, I still don't know what I'm doing here. So yeah, I'm gonna have to remove that and try again. Media size, window capture. Let's try that. Wait, no. That's um, there. Okay, that's what I was going for. But I am going to move that because it's on top of everything. That's not what I wanted at all. Okay, there we go. Hi everyone. Hello. How are you? Okay, now that I've got this at least to some degree working, let's go ahead and see if we can get this to try. Okay, now, um, for anyone who hasn't figured it out by now, I'm a nerd. I think I've explained this before. I am a big nerd, otaku, freak. But when it comes to writing, a lot of my writing tends to be like fantasy, like magic, elves, dragons, etc., etc. Lord of the Rings. Love Lord of the Rings. Ended up doing and tell me that there was no way that I actually read the book and tried to inform my dad that I was going to be failing the grade because that book report was worth like half of my grade, and not only was I getting a zero from that, but they were taking away like a quarter of the rest of my points because they didn't know what else I cheated on through the year. And my dad had to come in and be like, she read my copy of the book. She's been reading it constantly for 2 months. You just happen to give this book report at the same time she was reading it. No, she's not lying. She did read it. What is your problem? Like, she has been reading it in your class. You have been complaining about her reading the same book for the last month. What is your issue? And the teacher's just like, oh, yeah, I guess I didn't realize that. Teachers. It's not all teachers. It's just that school district. It's just like 2 years I was in middle school. I was in this one school district, and all of the teachers were just like, they had no idea how high their heads were up their own asses. I'm really hoping that they figured it out. It would be nice to know that the kids that are in that school district now are actually like being cared for. Like, I hope that they're not still treating those kids the same way, because ugh, it would be really sad if they're still treating them the same way. I pray for those kids. I'm not even like, that's not even my religion. I pray for those kids. Oh, try to figure. I'm stalling for time at this point. If you haven't figured it out, because I'm trying to figure out how to start this. Because it's been a long time since I've like actually started a story that wasn't fan fiction. Yeah, I write a lot of fan fiction, which is probably really sad considering. But I have no idea how to start an original story. I think on the last one I started off with prefaces on the characters. The prefaces, if I can find them. I don't know if I actually have any of the stuff on them. Maybe that would be a good idea. Maybe I should go back and take a look and actually see if I have any of that stuff. What is, that's not, um, actually, no, that'd be here. Oh, I have notebooks here. That is scary and mildly depressing. Okay, well, I probably have them in my email. Okay, I'm at this point in time, I'm actually not just stalling for time. I am trying to figure out if I do have these because these were actually very important to me. Oh, what am I doing? I am not. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to look at those just because I don't know what all is actually going to be showing up on here. And I have it specifically set to this window. Because I just realized, like, I was, like, going through a bunch of stuff that I probably shouldn't be showing, and it's just like, oh no! Um, let's go ahead and set that. I'm going to stick with the same characters, though, because I liked the characters that I had. All right. Actually, I'm going to take a look real quick and see if... Hey, I have viewers. Hello, viewers. I waved. You can't see because I don't have the little arm thingy, but I waved. Hello, viewers. Okay. If you do have any questions, even though the video on my phone is behind, the chat is up to date, so you can feel free to text or ask questions or anything. I am not like, you don't have to like do anything special to ask questions. Feel free to just throw anything out, and pretty much as long as it's nothing like too insanely personal, I'll answer it. Um, the reason I am no longer, if you were not here earlier, the reason I'm no longer doing games is because my computer has decided that it does not want to do games. I was trying to do them, but everything was timing out. Like, stage, let's just go ahead and kick you straight out of that. I had the ghost. I had 2 of the 3 objectives, and the last one was just like, it was like crucifix, and I'd been in the house for like 30 minutes, and I was just like, I give up. I went out and I hit the button, and I hit the button again, and it just wasn't. I was just like, why is the door not closing? And then it timed out, and it's just like, I give up. Like, I'm not doing that again. That's ridiculous. But yeah, so I literally was I was sitting here for like 2 hours streaming, and I had not been able to finish a single Phasmophobia stage because it just kept timing out on me. So instead, I am writing and goofing off because it's the only thing I can think of to do. Okay. I'm trying to think. How did I start this last time? Because I remember I really liked the first line that I had. I should probably, I should probably go like a little bit, like explain like a little bit of the storyline on this one. The secondary main character, they're both like pretty much equal parts the main character for this one. Um, is Dimitri and Vale. Uh, Dimitri, when he was, I don't, there's not like a specific age on it. He was somewhere between like, was attacked and he was literally the only survivor, and no one realized he was a survivor from that village except the governor of the village that he ended out in. His mother had told him to go to walk to a different country. Um, is pretty much like the last thing he heard from his mother, as everyone in the village was being crushed beneath the shield. Um, she told him to run to uh, this other country where there was a rumor that there was never any war there, and there was like impenetrable forces around the country, so no one could get in to hurt the place. So she wanted him to run there for safety. And she figured him being a child walking along the roadway, he would be safe. Well, he's a small kid on the roadway. Instead, he ended up being kind of a target. But because he was small, a lot of people underestimated him. And he ended up finding out that he's actually a pretty, was not a very skilled magician. He just had a lot of natural talent that he had no idea how to control. So he ended out um, going into this one town with a bunch of melted swords, like, okay, so can I use these to pay for a night at the inn? And the guy looked at him and was just like, okay, so you've got like 3 melted swords. We can go ahead and give you a week from the from that kingdom's imperial guard. And he's like, yeah, sure, okay. It's like we can give you like a week, and uh, the and like food, because like it's a medieval style tavern. You know, they have like they do inn and food and all that stuff. So he's just like, yeah, you're here for a week. You get food, you get the room, everything's good. And the kid's like, cool. The guy looks him over, realizes this kid's like minuscule, who's been traveling by himself, takes him up to the room, shows him in, comes down, and points him out to one of the guys in the tavern. The tavern's like built onto it because, you know, the people, that's the way they did things back then. Or at least in my head, that's the way they did things back then. That's the way that's the way I always like think of it in my head, is the tavern's always built onto the inns because people got drunk and then they were too drunk to like actually like go anywhere. So they drank until they passed out, and then they like dragged themselves up the stairs and passed out in their rooms. It's, you know, maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but that's the way I always picture it in my head. But so yeah, he goes down. He points him out to one of the guys that's downstairs, and the guy downstairs is named Sasha. And Sasha kind of looks him over and goes over and starts talking to the kid. She's like, "Hey, you around here?" And the kid, scrawny kid, who's been wandering for 3 months at this point, um, and everyone pretty much who comes up to talk to him is trying to get something out of him, or on that trying to figure out how to attack him without getting themselves attacked. And guys, you know, trying to, you know, get a little bit of info out of him. You know, where you going, what you doing, where you from. The kid's not really answering any questions. And the barmaid comes over. And it's just like, Sasha, you know, kid just got here. He's probably starving. Leave him alone. The bar staff knows this guy, and they're not like, you know, hey, it's causing trouble for the kid. Leave him alone. It's just kind of like, okay, so they know him here, and he's probably not like the biggest troublemaker. Or look, Dimitri. That's pretty much all he'll really say right off the bat. And, you know, bring over food. After a little bit of talking, he finally, the guy finally is just like, well, I mean, uh, the city that they're in at this point in time is called, are actually right between um, the village that they're in, which is called Saneland, and the neighboring village, which is, I don't remember the name of it. uh, Orland? Orland. I think it's Orland. Um, but their village was actually pretty much right on the battlefield for a huge war that had just ended like a month beforehand. And because of that, they had a lot of vacancies in the village. It had been a fairly big place beforehand, but like most of the able-bodied men in the village had passed away, and um, the kid realized imperial swords just kind of went, oh yeah, you're good for a couple of days. Imperial swords that are melted. What the hell did this kid do? So he's like, okay, he figures I was just out, scouring battlefield here. And just tries to like blow it off. And guy's just like, yeah. So I mean, like, if you want, you don't have to keep going. We have, plenty of space here. And the kid's just like, I'm not looking for a handout somewhere. I'm not. And he tells him he's trying to get to this other country. Don't remember the name of it. I'm gonna know I have the map in an email. And he's just like, yeah, he's like, I'm trying to get to this one city, this one country. And the guy's just like, well, I mean, that's here. And the kid's like, yeah, but I'm already 2/3 of the way there. And he's just like, but that's still like a long walk for someone your age. And I mean, 2/3 of the way there, I mean, that means that you've been walking for like a long time. Wouldn't it be easier to just go ahead and stay here and somewhere where you'd actually really be needed instead of going somewhere where you don't know if they'd even welcome you in? And the kid's like, huh. Like, let me think about it. And goes ahead and he eats. And he kind of sits back and he watches the guy to try to deal this. Because he has no idea why this guy's like, hey, why did you stay in this village? He doesn't know if it's like he's waiting for him to fall asleep so he can like steal his stuff, or if he's like trying to like get him just to be comfortable and take him somewhere and then kill him, or he has no idea what's going on. But after he eats and he's getting ready to go up to town, or up to his room, he's getting ready to Sasha's getting ready to leave, and the owner of the inn is just like, hey, you still haven't paid for your ale. He's just like, put it on my tab. He's just like, you still owe me from last time too. He's just like, he's like, okay, I have potatoes. I'll bring you potatoes. He's just like, okay, you owe me like 2 bags of potatoes. He's just like, 2 bags? He's just like, yes, because you also still owe me from this thing. And it turns into like this whole thing. By the end of it, the two of them are laughing about something or other, and the kid realizes that this guy is like actually like a big part of the city. He's not just, some goof off that has nothing to do with anything in the city. He's actually like for the place. He's important to the village. And so he goes ahead, he goes up to his room, he goes to sleep, and decides he actually will think about it. Instead of just like, yeah, I'll think about it and blow it off. But he later on ends out he goes to sleep and he ends out having a dream that his mother tells him that it's okay. It's okay to stay where he is. And it's the first time since he's left his village that he dreamt about his mother at all. And he realizes that that's actually really weird. Because, he's a kid who literally watched his mom die right in front of his eyes. And, you know, normally that would be something that would replay in his head over and over and over again, but it didn't. And having that be the first dream that he had, his mom being like, you should stay. You can stay here. It's safe. He's just like, okay, yeah, you know what? I think this is a sign. I think I should stay here. So he tells Sasha the next day. He's just like, okay, I think it is safe for me to stay here. I think it would be a good idea. And Sasha's like, good, okay. Well, let me go ahead and show you around the city. And he shows the village. So he shows him around, and by the end of it, Dimitri realizes that, yeah, there is actually like a lot of people needed for this place, because he wasn't joking. There are a lot of the businesses that are completely shut down because they don't have the workers. They have a lot of businesses that like um, smiths and uh, stuff like that, where the people that are making the stuff that are actually necessary, the people that are running the stuff are what were assistants before. They were the people that were too young to actually go out on the battlefield, but they have like some experience with the stuff, so they don't really know exactly what they're doing, but they have a little bit more experience than the people around them. So I mean, it's kind of he realizes that this place is actually in a lot of trouble, and they do need a lot of help. And the guy asked me, Sasha asked him, like, okay, so like, do you have any experience with anything else before you came here? And he's just like, well, I mean, my family had a farm. We raised animals. He's just like, great, we definitely need farmers. He takes them out and he shows them the farm. He's just like, okay, so what we can do is we can actually just give you the farm. So like we have like 3 people that are currently working on the farm. All of them want to go somewhere else. None of them want to be here. The farm itself has been abandoned since about a month ago. It probably needs a little bit of work. Everything inside's going to need to be cleaned, possibly repaired. We don't know. We haven't been inside. But yeah, you are welcome to do whatever you would like with the place. Probably be better if we got someone else to live with you. And kid's just like, I'm not living with some random person you just throw at me. Like, I don't know anyone here. Like throwing like just some random adult at you. Why don't we go ahead and give you an older sister? Or maybe 2 sisters. That might be a good idea. And the kid's just like, what? He's just like, we happen to have a couple of girls in the village who, um, due to a couple of things that happened during the war, are terrified of being around adults. But they need someone else around them to help them out with certain things. And they need someone to look up to. They need somewhere that they would fit in that would help them with the village itself. And, you know, helping out on the farm, helping out, you know, having someone else that they can work with that might help integrate them into the rest of the village eventually would probably be great for them. And it would give you someone else that knows the village itself, so that between, you know, all of you, it would be beneficial for everyone. And he's like, okay, that sounds good. So he ends up getting introduced to these 2 girls. And Celeste and Natasha. Uh, I don't remember. I'm gonna have to look. I'll have to look it up. But and all of these names are likely to change, because like some of this stuff is just kind of like eh. But actually, some of the names are likely to change. Dimitri's not going to change. Dale's not going to change. Sasha's not going to change. I love the name Sasha. Um, and I actually put so much. Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much just the intro on those characters. They end up meeting, and Celeste and Celeste, Dimitri, and Natalia end up getting along pretty much really good right off the bat. Uh, Sasha ends out really confused when he finds out that this kid that he thought he was like 5, but he finds out he was like 6 or 7. He's actually he was 7. He was no, he was 8. He was 8 years old. Which made him a year younger than Celeste, but a year older than Natalia, because he had thought that he was gonna have him as the youngest of the 3, but it turned out that he was gonna be the middle of them. But yeah, pretty much what the agreement was the guys that were on our care for the animals and how to take care of things, and eventually the 3 of them would just take over the farm, and after that it would be fine. It would be their farm. They would do with it as they wanted. And Dimitri was actually really excited and really happy to be there, and he was just thinking of it as, we're moving in with I'm moving in with 2 people I don't know. This is really weird, but Celeste's little brother now, and because he did have an older sister before, and he started crying when she said that, and she asked what was wrong, and he told her. He's just like, I had an older sister before this, and she died back when our village was destroyed. He said back when the city was destroyed, and everyone just kind of froze, and was just like, wait, you're from this place? And he's like, yeah, because the rumors about what happened to that place, it of course it had gotten blown out of proportion. Instead of what had actually happened, it had turned to rumors that it had been completely decimated. There was nothing left but a crater that was eternally on fire, and there was flames reaching into the sky. Stuff like that. This is how people tend to exaggerate things. But Sasha realized that if he started up with stuff like that, like, there's no way that you are from that place. The kid was probably going to freak out. So it's just like, that sounds, it's a bit this far. And he's just like, yeah, I told you that I was like 2/3 of the way to the one country. And he realized that he actually had said that. And that means that he actually was Sprite. He's just like, well, you must have worked really hard to get here. And he's just like, yeah. But he went ahead. He got himself into the village and became comfortable with it. And that's pretty much just his intro. That is how he joined into the village. The story with Vale, his intro is about the same time. He was a prince in the village, in the country. The actual name of the Sainlin country, the actual name of the city he's from is Sainlin, and says because it's the family name, the royal family Sainlin, from Sainlin, in Sainlin. Ha. I should probably change that. That sounds pathetic. But he wanted to be a magician, because he always thought magic was really cool. But his dad wanted him to be a sword fighter, like his older brother Lance. And Lance was always, big and strong and cocky, and a lot like his dad. And Vale just hated it. He didn't want to be like that. He was always more the type to stop and think things through instead of just rushing in with sword swinging. But I mean, at this point in time, he's like 5. So his dad was just like, no, you're not going to learn magic. Magic is cheater's way through. The magic is what you use when you don't have any skill. Magic is what you use when you don't have the ability to defend yourself with your own sword. And Lance is just like, yeah, but if I think Lance is like 2 years older than him. Lance is just like, yeah, but if I run into a battle with my sword swinging and he's really good at throwing fire, it's not going to matter how good I am with my sword. He's still going to take me out. And his dad's just, yeah, but that's because he's a coward. And he's just like, yeah, but that doesn't mean cowards don't win. It's just like, I'd rather know that we have some chance at winning because we actually can look at stuff from other points of view. It's not all about just, going in with honor. Sometimes it's at knowing what to do to be able to win. And your version of honor is really weird. And so there's like a couple of other people that ended out like talking his dad into letting him practice. And the first thing he does is end out like blowing up an arena. He was trying to do small fire spell and it blew up. And then he tried to do a bigger spell and uh, the first was like a small fire spell, and then they were like, okay, so your fire spells are too strong. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and condense it. We're going to show you how to do lightning. Now, if you can do lightning, then that should be like a really good spell for you to do. So he attempted to do lightning, and that failed to the point where um, it literally, like, instead of like just a giant fireball, it literally just blew the place up. Like the entire arena actually, like the seats melted. Um, the guy who was trying to teach him, the only reason he survived it was because he ducked and the place was made out of stone. The stone that he was in front of melted. Vale only survived because he was the one that cast the spell. There was no one else there, or else they would have been dead. But he ended out knocking himself out because magic is one of those things in this world that if you use too much, it drains your stamina, and if you drain too much stamina, you die. So he ends out in the hospital, and his dad comes in, and it's just like, okay, this is it. He's not going to learn any more magic. I'm not going to have my son dead because he decides that he's too stupid to learn how to use a sword, blah, 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 blah. Mom comes in and it's just like, okay, well, if this is the way that you've decided to do things, I've decided I have to take it out of your hands. And he's like, well, what do you mean by that? And she pretty much looks him in the eyes and he falls to the floor. And Lance kind of looks over like, what did you do? And she's just like, don't worry. When he wakes up, he won't remember any of this. And Vale will be allowed to learn whatever he wants. It's out of his hands. Don't worry about it. Lance is just like, oh shit, Mom knows magic. Who knew? But the reason for it is she saw what had happened from a distance. So she realized that he needed to know magic because if he didn't get training to figure out how to focus what he was able to do, if he like released magic on accident, he was going to kill a lot of people. And he's a prince. So I mean, like, crowned prince or not, you kill a lot of people. That's not good. So she's just like, yeah, we need to have him trained. So goes ahead, gets him in training, and he's just like, okay, let's go ahead. He can do whatever he wants. Things are gonna go great. Lance is like, okay, remind me not to piss Mom off. And things start looking up. Next thing we know, it's years later, and Vale is walking into Oak Fork. And when I say walking, I mean like stumbling. It is middle of the day. He is sunburned beyond like anything that he has ever been before. He is dressed in rags and he is on the verge of like death. He is not doing well. He gets in, sits down, pretty much wanders into the inn, and is just like, "Is there any chance that there is a courier here that can use magic to get a message to the castle as quickly as possible?" Or no, no. He's like, "Is there any chance to get a message to somewhere like immediately?" And the guy's just like, "No, we don't have anything like that. Uh, there's not really very much magic in this area, but it's kind of because like there's certain areas in the country where magic is kind of like looked down on. It's considered like evil. So, like, oh, in this area, a lot of people like don't really admit to having magic because they don't really know who's going to be like, oh, cool, magic, and who's going to be like, burn the witch. So they're just like, yeah, we don't really have anything like that out here. We have a lot of magic haters in this area. So, and he's just like, fuck. And he's just like, you don't look like you're doing so well, friend. What's going on? He's just like, well, I was traveling through on my way to Orland, and I got mugged. My caravan got robbed, and the guards that or the not guards the people that I was with, because he's trying his best not to say he's a prince, because if he says he's a prince, he's likely to be taken hostage and held for ransom, and he doesn't want that, because that's the only thing worse than what's already happened, is to be taken even worse advantage of. He's just like, yeah, the people I was with kind of stole everything, and I kind of just want to get word to my brother and see if he can send me some money so I can kind of get to where I was going. And he's just like, yeah, we don't really have anything that would get anything to anywhere really quickly here. Um, but if you want, we definitely could use some help around the city. We were on the front lines during the war, so any help we could get, we could definitely use, and we could definitely pay you for it. And guys like don't really have very much time for that kind of stuff around here. And he's just like, well, he's just like, I mean, what is it you're trying to get over there for? And he's just like, kind of a magician. I'm trying to, like learn more of my craft. Like trying to figure out, trying to find a new master. And guys like, a new one? It's like, aren't you a little young for that? Like, did you get kicked out of your old one? Because at this point in time, the getting a master is kind of like it's like 10 to 20 years is normally what it takes to fully get through a master. They teach you everything they know. It's not something that is taken lightly. Someone will not take you as an apprentice unless they are willing to teach you everything that they know. And it's like they move you in, they teach you everything. You eat together, you sleep together. You're pretty much their kid until they deem you like. So he's just like, yeah, I'm looking for a new master. He's just like, okay, so you're looking for a new one, but you weren't even good enough to, stick around with the last one. What'd you get kicked out for? He's like, no, I completed it. He's like, you look like you're like 12. He's like, okay, I'm like, I think he's like 22. He's like, I'm 22. It's like, you don't look 22. He's like, okay, I am. I'm 22. It's like, okay, so I'll accept that you've gone through master. Okay, that's at your age, yeah, okay, I can see maybe you've gone through one. Well, what kind of magic too? He's just like, I don't really know yet. Yeah, I've actually gone through a couple. I've learned a lot, and I'm just trying to figure out where to go from here. And the guy's like, there's no way you've gone through a couple. That's you're way too young for that. That's impossible. And he's just like, no, I've gone through a couple. Um, I was hoping that they might have someone who could teach me time magic. Because time magic is like it's mythology. Like everyone has heard of it. They've heard rumors of it, but no one actually knows it. There's there's rumors here and there, but no one knows anything about it. And he's just like, well, I mean, we have like really open about magic. Um, Maybe you'd want to be an apprentice under her. And he's like, well, I mean, I don't know. What kind of magic does she do? He's like, well, she's actually the few kinds. Actually, she does basic healing. She does potions. She does pretty much anything involved with healing. She can do a lot of that stuff. Oh, did I get dropped again? I don't know if I got dropped. If I did get dropped, I apologize. Um, and as I said earlier, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. Just go ahead and put it in. It's fine. Um, and this is not even just the story. It's me, the story, anything. Um, well, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna write this, and instead I'm just explaining the whole thing. Sorry, I talk too much. But it was just like, yeah, you know what? At least I'll meet her. Yeah. And so Sasha's just like, okay. He goes ahead and um, goes and he gets her. He brings her in, and she walks in like possibly someone who wants to learn from me. Like, and she walks in, and her first thought is, oh, he's not learning anything from me until he's healed up because he was so badly sunburned. She's just like, okay, yeah, you're coming home with me, and he's just like, okay, well, I haven't decided whether I want to learn from you or not yet. And she's just like, no, 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 no. You're coming home and you're getting thrown into a healing bath because your skin has already peeled right off of you. You are sunburned beyond repair. We are going to do our best to try and make sure that you don't end out like completely dehydrated. You look like beef jerky. And so she takes him home, and she's just like, okay. So he walks up, and she's just like, okay, pardon the farm, big house. Um, should be fine. Come on in. Takes him in. Takes him to a office at the back. It's just like, okay. Starts throwing stuff into a large vat she has. Um, Water, herbs, potions, everything she feels that she needs. Pulls it off the walls, jars, and he's looking around, realizing that she's not just goofing around with the stuff. She has a lot of herbs and stuff that he's only heard of, has never actually been able to lay his eyes on, let alone actually like get his hands on. And he's completely astounded, like, this is amazing. Where did you get this? And she's just like, we're like on the like right between these two countries. We have a lot of traders that come through, and we also get quite a few of them that come up from the south because we're not too far from this other country. And like, yeah, it's a bit of a ride, but like for merchants with carriages, it's not like way too bad. It's like maybe a week, and a lot of times they're coming up to go to Saneland. So, I mean, it's not the longest journey. And he's like, hmm, interesting. And he's like, okay, so, I mean, get you right here, like, between, like, 3 of the 7, all that they know of the world is this one island. He's like, okay, so, you ever get anything about time magic out here? And she's like, oh, well, I mean, I do have one book about it. Um, because I thought it might be something interesting. I read it, and I don't think time magic's actually a thing. I mean, the guy says that he could do it, but he's completely insane. And Vale's like, what do you mean he's completely insane? And she's just like, yeah, he cut his own arm off and then claims that he regrew it because, he was able to, like, reverse time around his arm. But, I mean, he cut his own arm off. No one's saying cuts their own arm off. And Vale's like, yeah, you're kind of right. And she's like, okay, so strip. And he's like, what? And she's like, okay, well, I mean, we're keeping you from getting horribly, horribly sunburned here. So, yeah, you have to take off your clothes and jump in the big bathtub here. It's full of potions and herbs and stuff to specifically help your skin so you don't, dehydrate and turn into dust and blow away. And he's like, I have never been seen by a female naked in my entire life. And she's just like, have you ever been seen naked by a doctor in your entire life? And he's like, yes, but all the doctors have been men. This is different. This is weird. You're like my age. You're like almost about my age. This is weird. And she's just like, I'm a doctor. I have I see guys naked like every day. It's fine. It's trust me. It's right. It's a regular occurrence. So he's embarrassed as hell, and he strips down. He's bright red, and he turns around, and he screams bloody murder because there is some guy looking in the window. And she turns and she looks and she waves him away. And this guy is huge, like absolutely enormous, completely intimidating. Looks like he could pick up half the house and, like, just break it in half. The guy probably, like, benches cows for a living. And she's just like, don't worry about that. It's just my brother. And he's just like, your brother? Great. I'm gonna fucking die. And she gets him in the bathtub, has him, gets him to soak and stuff, puts a cloth over his face so that, puts a cloth over him. It's just like, okay, just sit, rest, relax, heal up. You need this more than I think you realize. And if you don't, I think tomorrow you're going to wake up and you are going to be in so much pain. And he's like, fine, fine. So he lays back and he puts the cloth over his face, and she, like, it's just like, if you feel like this is, like, warming up, if you feel like it dries out at all, dunk it back in the water, put it back over your face. He's like, okay, okay. So she leaves the room and goes out, and he's just like, okay, Dimitri, please do not scare my guest. And he's just like, why is there some guy in my house? And she's just like, okay, first of all, he's not just some guy. He is a patient and guest. Don't scare the guy that I invited into the house. And he's just like, why is there some naked guy in my house? Because he was sunburned into a kiss, and I'm trying to make sure that his skin does not, like, crack from the sunburn, because he got jumped and robbed and, like, stumbled into town a lot like someone else did a long time ago. And he's like, fine. So after a little bit, it's decided that he'll stay and he'll help out around the farm, but he knows nothing about animals. He does not say anything about himself except his name. They know his name is Vale. he doesn't say where he's from. All he says is that he has a brother that he needs to save up money for because he wants to get a message to his brother. But he's trying to get to Orlin so he can get another master. But while he's there, he does want to try and learn what he can from Celeste because, magic. But he realizes that there's that there is another sister, but the other sister has moved out because as soon as she was old enough, she joined the city's villages, like they have like their own small militia because after the war it was decided that that would probably be for the best because if war comes through again they don't all want to die. So she joined the village's militia and quickly rose through the ranks because she just that's something she's very skilled with fighting. She's very, very skilled with fighting. And eventually she became like pretty much the village's lead when it came to sword fighting. And she is very, very well known for not taking bullshit. Um, her biggest thing that she's known for is if people have decided that it is in their best interest to flirt with her without permission, she strips them naked and then ties them to the front gate of the village to remind them that no one wants to see that. No one wants to deal with that. And if she doesn't want to deal with it and she has to, then so do they. I love it. I love it. I love it. But um, he ends up staying in Celeste's room since she's moved out. And it ends up going really well for a while. And after about 3 months, he kind of forgets where he was going. He ends out just like hanging out in the city. He ends out almost like joining in. He pretty much becomes one of them. He's a regular at the inn. He hangs out with Sasha all the time, um, specifically to learn from Celeste and be her apprentice. And he does end up learning a lot of healing magic from her. He ends out becoming really good friends with Dimitri. And the two of them are known for their goof off antics. Um, like they like one of the things that had ended up happening. There was a type of weed that they ended up having to put a bunch of cows down because it was growing and it had intermingled with some of the grass, and it was hard to tell from the other grass. But the cows would eat it; it would make the milk go sour, and it was completely undrinkable. It was undrinkable also by baby cows, so it was killing the calves. Um, then the larger cows started getting sick if they ate too much of it. Now, Celeste, after looking it up, was able to find, due to her, the stuff due to the magic she knows from herbs for potions, she did have a spell specifically that would be able to kill weeds. But she had to know specifics on it, the leaves, the stems, the roots. But because the leaves and the roots were both similar to different types of plants, to the point where it was hard to tell them apart, she could not pinpoint this specific weed. Vale was able to figure it out after a while, and he was actually able to um, get a potion to put out that was able to kill the weeds. Um, but in doing so, he ended up having to spend a lot of time having to spend a lot of time in the area where the sheep were. Now, when he first got there, because he had never spent any time around farms when he was growing up, he was terrified of sheep. Yes, he was terrified of sheep. So, a running joke for a bit of the time he was there. He was absolutely mortified. But then by the time he had been there for like a month, he ended up actually really liking the sheep because they were small and they were fluffy and they were soft. And he liked to go up and just pet them. And he ended up like after they were able to kill the weeds and he was able to like help nurse some of the calves back to health and they were able to like get some of them healthy again. He ended up really liking the cows because they were like big puppies. They jump around and they play and they're adorable. But they were huge and so they terrified him too. He loved them from a distance. But just the jokes about it, they'd be like, okay, so it's time to go milk the cows. They'll come with me. And he'd be like, fine. And he'd like go out with the bucket, like hide away as he's like try to figure out how to get close enough to the cow to milk it and be like, and they'd do it just to tease him. It was great. But after he'd been there for about 3 months, Sasha came into the tavern and was just like, so you're not going to believe what just happened today. And Vale's in with Dimitri. And Dimitri was like, what's up? And he's just like, we had a bunch of Imperial guards come in saying that they're looking for one of the princes. It said that he ended up like disappearing and they think he's dead, but like they're trying to find his body. It's apparently somewhere around here. And Dimitri's just like, there's a dead prince out here. Like, what the like? I'm all for dead princes. I fucking hate the royal family. Of course, Vale's he's just like, so I'm not a fan of the royal family, huh? He's just like, no, they burned my village to the ground when I was a kid. So yeah, not a fan, not a fan. Um, or no, he didn't explain that. He's just like, yeah, no, I had problems with them when I was a kid. I think that's what he said. He's just like, yeah, so I'm not a fan, not a fan. And he's just like, oh, that's unfortunate. That's really sad. He's just like, yeah. He's just like, okay, so what's going on? He's just like, they just said that they're like out here just looking for some dead prince. I mean, like what they think we're like, maybe we like have him in the field or something. So it's like, no, apparently, they think he died like well after the war, but he's supposed to come through on his way to Orlan, but I guess he didn't make it to Orlan. And Dimitri's just like on his way to Orlan. Wait, what are the prince's names again? It's like the older one, the crowned one's Lance, but there's like two others, right? And it's just like, no, there's just one more. There's the crowned one. Yeah, I think Sasha's like, I don't know. And Vale's just like, I mean, that's crazy. That's it's really unfortunate. It's just like, yeah, huh. And Dimitri's just like, yeah, probably like right about the same time you came through, going, to Orlan. Prince's name doesn't happen to be Vale, does it? And Sasha's just like, I don't know. Maybe I should ask them. And Vale's just kind of like, please don't hate him. They're just like, Dimitri's just like, fucking knew it. It's just like all this time you were there, you were fucking royal fucking family in my goddamn house. he's just like, I didn't do anything you do. I'm like 2 years younger than you. Like, I know nothing about what happened to you when you were a kid. Or he's like, I know nothing about whatever problems you have with the royal family. Like, half the time I have problems with them too. Like, I don't know what's going on. It's just like, I seriously, I was going through on my way to Orland, and my own guards like jumped me and robbed me and stole all my stuff and left me for dead. Um, yeah, I think everyone has problems with the royal family, including the royal family. It's just like, but with this, I guess I'm gonna be out of your hair. And he's just like, that's actually kind of sad. I'm gonna miss Celeste. He's just like, I actually was kind of getting close with her. And Dimitri's just like, okay, maybe it's not so bad having you leave. He was just like, okay, you know what? We'll have like one more. We'll have like one more party, and then we'll like hunt these guys down tomorrow and send you home. Dimitri's like, Dale's like, yeah, okay, we can do that. Sasha's like, yeah. He's like, I think they said that they were like staying here at the inn for tonight. So yeah, we can go ahead. We can like find because they're like searching out in the battlefield just in case today. But like, yeah, we can go ahead and we can like hunt them down tomorrow and like, yeah. And wandered home in the middle of the night, singing and dancing and drunken revelry. It's And the next day, Sasha had already found them like that night and told them. So first thing in the morning, they go to the town hall, and